Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why aren't you getting more stuff done? We all know that feeling when we've got an endless to-do list and we're overwhelmed by tasks and we just can't seem to get anywhere. And you know what's worse? You're putting in the hours, you're waking up early and you're finishing late and you just can't seem to get anything done. Hi, my name is Goose. I'm the CEO of Dashdot, an 8-figure company, and I've developed a productivity routine that helps me not only stay on top of the business, but actually carve out time for personal development, for health, for all of the things that make for a fulfilling life, or at least what a fulfilling life looks like for me. And if you stick around in this video, I am going to share with you some tips and tricks that's going to help you do exactly the same thing for you so that you can live your best life and also achieve seemingly superhuman amounts of output without having to put in superhuman amounts of hours. Sound pretty good? Well, stick around to the end and I'll give you 3 quick tips as well to make sure you can execute these ideas effectively. We've broken this up into 6 sections, so let's get started. Number 1, start with why. A lot of people wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is they roll over and they pick up their phone and they start scrolling through Instagram and they start getting dopamine hits and they start getting stimulation from other parts of the world. If they don't do that, maybe they open up their email app and start looking at all the emails that have come in overnight, or perhaps they open Slack and they see all the notifications they've got there and they start getting bombarded with all of these competing ideas and interest about what's important, and your brain, quite frankly, starts to freak out and you lose context around what is actually important, let alone the things that you actually need to do. So the first thing you need to do is to cut out that noise at the start of the day and spend the first part of your day focusing on the why. So what do I mean by that? Well, in order for you to understand what you need to do, you firstly need to keep reminding yourself where it is you're trying to get to, because otherwise, how would you know what the most important tasks are? Now, some of the things that I do every single day in order to keep me aligned, I literally write out my vision or read my vision every single day so I know exactly what I'm trying to achieve. I then spend the time to think about what are the biggest, most burning priorities of that day. I don't go and start searching for them. I don't start looking around through Slack or email going, I wonder what problems people are going to give me today. In fact, this is the number one reason that I don't plan the day before. At the end of a day, your brain is full of so much data that has been pumped in there all day long, it is almost impossible to sift through the noise to know exactly what it is that actually needs to happen. Because quite frankly, it's had a whole day of being pumped full of juice. How is it even going to know? Now, this is really, really important. It is not enough to sit and think about these things and have all these ideas just floating around in your head thinking, oh yeah, I can prioritize this. Because what you actually need to do is you need to take the intangible and make it tangible. And you actually need to do that by building a mind-muscle connection to writing it on a page. This is not the same as doing it digitally. What you want to do is you want to minimize screen time, you want to maximize brain time. And the best way to do that is analog. Analog is pen on paper, or if you want to get really spicy, use a pencil. I don't mind. But the point here is you want to keep it analog. You want to just spend the time with you, your body, your mind, the words on the page to get clear before you open yourself up to any other distractions. This is key because in this time, you get to master your mind and then master your day. Now, one of the best clarifying questions you can use for this is a question from a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And that question is a fantastic question. What is the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? Understanding your why is going to help you stay on track even when the chips are down. And this is the most important thing because this journey that you are on is not going to be easy. It is not going to be all roses. Time and time again in my own experience is that as soon as it starts to feel like everything is going good, that is usually a sign that things are about to get pretty challenging. Because we've had plenty of times where the business has nearly blown up. Even when we very first started and we had no money, understanding why we're doing the thing that we're doing keeps me on track with my own personal goals. So I say this to you, not from some soapbox around telling you these ideal things you should do for your day. I tell you because it's probably one of the most important things that I've ever learned how to do and allows me to operate consistently no matter what is happening in the environment around me. And that is the key to building resilience, and that is the key to being the master of your own destiny so you don't get thrown around in the wash when stuff around you changes. Because the only thing you can ever be certain of is that the environment you're in is going to change. And if you want to be the constant, then you need to put in the systems and processes to make sure you are the constant in an environment full of change. That is how you're going to achieve success. Number 2, prioritize and prioritize decisively. Multitasking doesn't exist. You cannot do it. So that means that you must choose one specific thing that you are going to focus on and work on that thing until you have moved it to a point where you can no longer move it forward, or until it is completed before you move on to the next specific thing. That is important. Otherwise, you're going to end up trying to do too many things and do none of them successfully. You'll never get all of the things you need done, and you will just burn yourself out and achieve none of the success that you desire. And working out what to do is actually just as important as working out what not to do. What are the things you need to say no to? What are the obligations that you've got in your calendar, for example, that you're like, man, do I really need to do that? You should ruthlessly look at your calendar every single day and decide, are the things that are blocked out to take up my time, are they the specific things that I need to do to move towards my goals, or should I just delete them? And if you explain to people along the way, you don't need to be rude, like just, hey, get out of here. You can just say, hey, I've got this thing right now that I really need to focus on. This is where it fits in with my goals. This is why I need to focus on it. Would it be okay if we either postponed, rescheduled, or canceled this? So perhaps if there's a meeting, could you say to someone, hey, why don't you record me a Loom and I can watch it asynchronously rather than taking up time in my calendar? Perhaps could you give me some bullet points or explain what the specific problem you need help with is? You can do things to remove the clutter in your calendar so you can remain more focused on the most important tasks. So this is why it's important to work out what to say no to, so that you can create the space for the things that you need to say yes to. Now, I've already mentioned one of the key questions you can use in order to try and prioritize the things that you need to do. And that's the one thing question, which is, what is the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? What is the biggest lever? What is the biggest domino? What is the thing that if I just do that thing, bam, we get massively towards our goals? That is the thing that you want to aim for. Next, you need to think about things like risk, return, and reward. And one of my favorite frameworks for this comes from Keith Cunningham's book, The Road Less Stupid. That is a must read for anyone in business. It's a fantastic book, and it's one of the few books that I've read probably 5 times. And the question is this: what is the upside? What is the downside? And can I live with the downside? Because so many times we optimize for the upside and we don't actually think about what the downside is. And the more that you can get comfortable with what the downside is and whether you can live with it, it's actually going to help you to better prioritize the things that you need to do, and also decide whether they should be on your plate or not. Because a great idea that could actually send you completely bust is probably not going to be the best idea for you. The final thing that I would add in here is something that I took from Tim Ferriss's Tools of Titans book, and that is a very simple question. This question is one of the best clarifiers. What would it look like if it were easy? And if you can apply these 3 question frameworks to any of the things you're trying to prioritize, it's actually going to help you to get more leverage, minimize your risk, and actually find the easiest pathway to success. So number 3 is to delegate effectively, because here's the thing. Now that you've got a list of things to do, the most important thing you as a leader need to realize is that you will never achieve greatness if you try and do everything alone. And that is one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of people make all the time, is they go, I'm going to load all this up. Maybe I'm the only person who can do it. I don't trust anybody else. In fact, when you do that, it's disempowering to the team that you're building around you. What you actually want to do is you want to say, how can we all win together? I have now defined clearly the highest priority things that need to happen within this organization, within my business, within my life. Who can I enroll to help me achieve this, and how will that actually help them to feel wonderful because they are participating in the greatness that we can achieve together? So it is actually one of the best things you can do. Delegation is not getting other people to do your work. Delegation is actually allowing other people to participate in the greatness that you are trying to achieve. You will then start to actually move a lot faster because you actually have people all rowing the same boat in the same direction at the same speed. It's not enough for you to prioritize your task. You need to help people know what are the most important tasks to get you towards your goal. This matters no matter what you're trying to achieve in life, because there is always going to be somebody else who is participating in that journey. It is very rare that you will ever do anything fully alone. But here's the thing about delegation. No one knows what is going on in your mind, and so the only way you can do it effectively is if you become an effective communicator. It is not enough for you to wake up in the morning and do all these exercises and come up with your list and then send some cryptic message to somebody else that only you understand and then expect for them to execute that effectively. That is one way to become a very terrible leader and to have lots of people who do not want to follow you. So the better you can become at communicating not only the objective that you're trying to achieve, but specifically how that ties with the vision, is going to be one of the hallmarks of success. So your ability to communicate it and tie it to the vision is key. So make sure you're taking the time to articulate not only what you're trying to achieve, what success looks like, what are the timelines in which you're trying to achieve success, and what are the key things that need to be done in order to make that a reality, and then how that ties back to the overall mission, vision, and purpose of whatever the thing you're trying to do is. That's going to be the key to successful delegation. Otherwise, you're just going to seem like a tyrant. Go do this is not an effective way to lead people. Now, number 4 is live by the calendar. It is very simple. In my world, if it isn't on the calendar, it doesn't exist. Now, this may be a shock to some people because you're like, I don't use the calendar. Well, let me tell you, you're probably highly ineffective in the way that you manage your time. In fact, anytime I've ever met someone who's overwhelmed, who says, I've got too much stuff to do, I can't get things done, I'm feeling overwhelmed and stretched, it is almost always an issue with their time management and their calendar management. So the simple practice that I use to maximize my calendar to make sure I get everything that I want in life done is time blocking. It is literally just opening up your digital calendar and blocking out the specific time that you need to do the specific things that you need to do when you want to do them. The benefit of this is it actually allows you to block out things that aren't just work, because people think time blocking is just for meetings or just for work that you want to do. But what about the other things you want to do? What about if you want to go for a 15-minute walk in the middle of the day? What about when you want to have lunch? What about when you want to go to the gym? I even block out when I am sleeping. I block out literally every single thing on my calendar so that I know at any given point in time exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. That may sound a little insane to you, but let me tell you, that is the key to me getting everything that I want in life. Because I literally put everything on the calendar. Nothing is out of place. It's not like, well, I was going to do that at 3 o'clock, but then this other thing happened and then I sort of got distracted and now it's 6 p.m. and I didn't get the thing done. I know what is going to happen at 3 o'clock and I show up with personal accountability to make sure I'm achieving that thing at that specific time. Sometimes it can feel a little hectic, if I'm honest with you. Sometimes you'll be like, oh my God, I've got to get from here to there. But the outcome is that I finish every day knowing that I've achieved everything that I set out to do. I am not suggesting you need to work 100% of the time that you're awake. I'm in fact suggesting that you need to block out time to not work. So an example of how I do that, I typically keep 15-minute blocks in between each of my meetings and I block it out. I block that out as a break. And the reason I do that is so that I can consciously switch off. Meeting, okay, I'm on a break now. I can actually let my brain decompress and I can then show up better for my next meeting. I don't believe in having back-to-back meetings. I don't believe in just cramming as much stuff as possible into your calendar unnecessarily. This is about making sure that you're accountable to the things that you want to get done and also accountable to making sure that you are living your life in the best possible way. If it isn't on the calendar, it does not happen. Now, this lenses on to number 5, optimizing your calendar, because just chucking stuff in the calendar can actually lead to a bit of chaos. So what you actually need to do is you need to think about, how do I suit the things that I need to do to my specific best possible operating rhythm? And this comes down to a little bit of self-awareness. This comes down to actually listening to your body, listening to your mind, and trying to understand how and when do I perform what tasks best at what time of the day and why. So I have a preference to go to the gym early in the morning. After lunch, I'm less effective at solving critical, complex problems. So for example, if I need to do something like financial modeling, I'm far better to do that first thing in the morning. However, in the afternoon, it's a great time for me to connect with other people. And so my preference is to make sure that I have my meetings in the afternoon. So that's a really great way that I'm doing it for myself. And you can start to think about that too, because different people have different operating rhythms. Now, just because I'm telling you to get up at 5 a.m., that may not suit you. But what you need to work out is what does suit you. Now, we have actually applied this in our business. We call it freedom and responsibility. The whole idea, generally speaking, is that you can optimize your calendar to suit your own optimal operating rhythm, as long as you're meeting all of your professional and personal obligations and as long as you're accountable to maintaining that structure. So freedom and responsibility doesn't mean just do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and just like freewheel around. It means working out what is the optimal structure based on you and your individual needs so that you can perform your best, and then creating the freedom around that. So understanding how to optimize your calendar and move those blocks of time, those time blocks that we just talked about, move those into such a place in your calendar that you know that you're going to be the most effective. Yes, I believe in hard work, but I also believe in smart work. I believe in leverage. I believe in finding the easiest way to get to your outcomes so that the effort you put in is amplified and magnified. Creating the right structure and sticking to that structure is the pathway to absolute freedom. The reason I am able to switch off is because I schedule time to switch off. I don't hope that I'm going to eventually run out of things to do and then, I'll start to switch off then. I get clear on what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it and why, and I maintain a consistent cadence for that work. Now, that doesn't mean you can't optimize your schedule over time as you find things that work and don't work, but what is really important is you create a system and you stick to it. This level of consistency is the thing that is going to allow you to feel good even on the days that you don't feel good. Having a process in place means that you're not waiting for motivation. It means you're not waiting for stimulation. It means that if the environment changes, you still know exactly what it is you need to do because you're going to show up and do the work when you said you're going to do the work, because you know that that is the thing that you do that makes you successful. And the consistency gives you a track record that you can leverage to prove to yourself that it is the right thing to do for you to achieve your goals. So creating the consistency in your calendar is the thing that is going to allow you to effectively split test your life to work out what is the thing that is going to drive greater levels of happiness, success, fulfillment, and everything that you truly want in life. If I could wake up every single day and have my perfect week, my perfect day, what would that look like? And so rather than thinking of this as some kind of like onerous, I've got to go and start programming all my work into the calendar, you should actually say, well, what does my perfect week look like? What is the kind of calendar schedule that I would want to have every single day so that I would be living my absolute best life? That's how I start with it. That is literally how I start with it. I have a spreadsheet and it's called Goose's Perfect Week. And I work through it and I'm like, well, okay, I like waking up at 4 a.m. and I like going to bed at like 8 or 9. Okay, cool. So I put that in there and then I go, well, how am I going to fill all of the time in between? And then I block out all of the things that are going to make me feel good. I like work. I like going to the gym. I like taking breaks for food. So I put all of that stuff in there to make sure I'm getting everything I want in the calendar, including time for learning, including time for health and wellness, all of these things. So I get to design my perfect week and then I get to live it. And you get to do the exact same thing. And if that isn't motivation for you to actually start to apply this in your own life, I don't know what is. Because the simple act of you deciding what your perfect life looks like and then scheduling your perfect life in the calendar and then doing the things that will lead to your perfect life gives you everything you want, and it is right there. So that was the 6 actions. We're done with that now. And as I promised at the start of the video, I'm going to give you 3 tips to actually get shit done. Number 1 is turn off all notifications. Now, this may seem counterintuitive if it's the first time you've heard it, but notifications are actually designed to distract you. They are designed to give you a dopamine hit. They are specifically designed to make you sticky to the things that are giving you the notifications. And turning off your notifications is going to allow you to stay on track with everything else that we've just spoken about in this video, including prioritization, time blocking, and time management. The second tip is to get noise cancelling headphones. And then I like to use a program called Brain FM to help dial in my brain waves to focus on the specific type of activity that I'm doing. In fact, and this is not a paid sponsorship, I use Brain FM every single day to get my brain in the state that I need it to be based on the first tasks that I'm doing in the day. I personally love it. It is the most scientifically advanced tool that I have found to help me actually control the specific brain waves. Go check it out. You can learn all about it yourself. And the third tip that I've got for you to actually get more stuff done is to use Parkinson's law to your advantage. Parkinson's law stipulates that work will expand to fill the time allotted to it. So this can work both for you and against you. If you've got a task and you don't really know how long it's going to take and you just go, well, I'll block out like 4 hours for it, it might only actually be a 30-minute task and you'll actually take the whole 4 hours to do it because that is Parkinson's law. The work will expand to fill the time allotted. However, if you've only allowed 1 hour or in fact 30 minutes to get the work done, guess what's going to happen? You're going to cram, you're going to get it done, and it's probably going to be just as effective. Lots of people have seen this when they're studying for exams. They haven't done any of the work. They leave it to the last minute and then they cram and they get all of the study done in just a few hours beforehand, and it's just as effective. So you can use this to your advantage as long as you maintain accountability to your calendar and to your time blocks to get more things done in that amount of time. And that, my friends, is the magic behind the madness. Now, if any of this has resonated with you or landed with you or giving you a bit of an aha moment, make sure you click the like button. That lets me know that this kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that you want. And if you do that, then maybe hit the subscribe button because there's going to be more content like this as well. And so I'd love to have you here and to be able to share more ideas with you to help you become more successful. And remember, time is the one resource that we can't get any more of, so make sure you are spending yours wisely. And I'll see you in the next video.